up guys, Stu here. And today we're talking about a comedy film which surprisingly is actually based somewhat on a true story. And that film is Tag. And I say surprisingly because, I mean, it was in the trailers. There's a little bit that says inspired by a true story, but you kind of see that and you're like, okay, someone would have somewhere once played tag with their friends. Wow. And turns out quite a lot of it is actually quite true. There was an actual article about a group of friends that played tag for however many years, and there's even costumes in the film which are the same. But anyway, the film is a comedy directed by Jeff Tomsic, who I'm not sure if I've seen anything from him before. I think he's mainly based in TV, and this is one of his first big main feature films. Correct me if I'm wrong. And essentially it's one of those comedies about a group of friends that has a very strange, particular, stupid thing they're doing. This time it happens to be a lifelong game of tag. And the basic premise is one of the friends in the group, Jeremy Renner, has never been tagged in his whole life. He's the pro at the game and he's getting married, so Ed Helms and the rest of the friendship group basically team together to try and tag him as it's coming up to the end of May, which is the only month they're allowed to play this game before it resets for the next year, basically. And I didn't really have any expectations for this one. Looked, by all means, like one of the kind of run-of-the-mill buddy comedy things that sort of pops up every now and then in a year that you forget about after about a day of watching it. After seeing it, you know what? I was kind of pleasantly surprised. I mean, there are definitely aspects of exactly what I've just said there in it, but for the most part, I enjoyed this one, and I was laughing a lot more than I thought I would be in this one. So as I already said, Ed Helms and Jeremy Renner are in the cast, but it's also filled in by other great comedic actors. I mean, there's Jake Johnson, Hannibal Buress, who the guy kills me. The guy straight up kills me every time I see him in anything. There's also John Hamm, who just straight up and always enjoy seeing in films like this. The guy is just, what can I say, he's watchable. But Isla Fisher's also in the film, and there's also a couple of other people that pop up throughout. My favourite of which being Thomas Middleditch, who is one of my favourite comedians, actors, whatever you want to call it, working today. I find the guy infinitely hilarious, and he's got a really fantastic scene in this one that was killing me. But yeah, on the whole, everyone's doing solid jobs. I'm not going to sit here and say this is the best work we've seen from any of the people here, but it's not really trying to be that. They're just having a fun time, and that's all I asked for from this film, and it did it. Ed Helms is kind of the weakest link in the cast for me. I usually don't find him that funny at this point. I just think he can be very kind of one note in his style of comedy and the way he pulls things off. But this is actually probably one of his roles I found a little bit more enjoyable, more entertaining. I mean, it didn't have me rolling around on the floor from him, but he did a good job. But really, it's Hannibal Buress I like seeing in this film. I guess he's kind of getting typecast at this point. He seems to just pop up and be the guy that says weird lines like some kind of strange stoner in the background. But it always works. So it's yet to fail me now. But I guess the thing that surprised me and that I enjoyed the most out of this is that it's a concept which you immediately think, oh, okay, that's a stupid concept. Why are you going to stretch it into an hour and a half long film, you know? How are you going to make a feature-length comedy out of this? And actually, I was surprised to see that it actually managed to fill it quite well. I mean, for the first 10 minutes, I was like, okay, this seems like it might just fit a little bit more in the kind of, I don't know, shorter sketch comedy format of something like a YouTube video. But then you get to like an hour in and I'm going, hey, I'm enjoying myself. I'm entertained here. That being said, though, there is definitely a point where it starts to slip. The film does take a bit of a dip within the kind of second to third act. There's a little dip in there. Definitely did get noticeably less kind of funnier and laugh out loud. I think it's no coincidence that that's really the point in the film where they start to kind of try and do their own sort of story in there and try and get it a little bit meatier as a story, which is absolutely fine. You've got to do that. It is a feature-length film. You've got to have that in there. But I think the film definitely shines the best when it is just being ridiculous for the sake of being ridiculous. So the first half of this film I actually had a really great time with. I do just think it's a funny premise of people trying to tag someone that's too good at tag. I really like the way they did these kind of slow motion sequences, almost in that kind of Sherlock Holmes style, where it will slow down and then you'll have a voiceover saying like, oh, he's approaching on the left, or whatever Jeremy Renner decides to do in the moment. It's a really funny way of looking at it. It does kind of get a little bit old when you get to like the fifth time they're doing it, but it's still entertaining. And there are some great sequences when they're trying to tag them, notably one in a forest. There are a lot of jokes in the film which don't necessarily land as well as others, and there's a couple of sort of plot lines I'm like, what? Why are you there? Oh, it's because they need to make this into a feature film. And there's a couple of points where I do feel like it almost goes a little bit too far, but I am a strong believer that in comedy you can arguably get away with whatever you want. I mean, different people will find different things funny. There's a line in this film which I think you kind of go, oh, they're joking about that. Maybe that's a bit much for some people. But then, I mean, it's a comedy. It's funny. So at the end of the day, gotta be honest, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed Tag. I'm not going to sit here and say it's the best comedy I've seen in a long time. Hell, I don't even know if I'm going to really remember it within a week. But it did a good job. It did exactly what it needed to do in the moment. I just wanted a film which I could sit down, enjoy, and laugh at, and it did all of those things for me. But what about you guys? Have you seen Tag yet? Did you find it funny like me, or were you just completely stone cold? What the fuck's going on here? Let me know what you thought in the comments below. I'd love to know. And as usual, if you did enjoy this review and you want to see me talk about more shit, please consider clicking subscribe. Really helps me out, and also means that you won't miss any reviews from this mug popping up in your sub feed in the future. So whack subscribe or that little dingly bell button. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. I'm going to go and not play tag or any sport because I'm too hot, I might die. But until next time, stay beautiful, mother truckers.